Hello and welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel, and today we are continuing on in my series where we test out kits from crafts where I have little to no experience. And today we are trying out loom knitting. I have never tried loom knitting before. I've always wanted to. I picked up this boy brand one at my local Walmart for I think $10, something like that. Now, this is not the type of kit that comes with the materials. It does just come with the loom and some instructions. I thought about trying to find one that had the yarn and everything included in it, but as you can see, I already have a lot of yarn, so we should be fine. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this. Okay, so here is what this box looks like. It is called the medium round loom. It says it includes a 30 peg loom, a loom hook, and a needle. And I am realizing right here that this says 5 and 6. So I'm assuming that is the size of yarn you are supposed to use for this, which I definitely did not pay attention to when I bought this. If you watched my video where I did stash busting, that is when I bought this and I was rushing through the store at the time. I literally just picked it up. I did not read a lot about it. The problem is I don't have a ton of 5 and 6 yarn that isn't chenille. And I don't know if chenille is going to be the best choice to start out with. So I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to it. Let's look at the back. So it basically just shows you a little bit about this. It does say that it comes with instructions on how to do this. It says that you can do it flat or circular. And it does have a website that you can go to for projects and inspiration. So we will be checking that out in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and open this up. Okay, so this is all we've got right here, our little plastic loom. Although it does feel pretty sturdy, I will say. And then we have our little, what do you call this, a latch hook? Is that the right name for it? I don't even know. And then this is the needle that they promised, which is a plastic tapestry needle. I don't love it. I do feel like this is kind of aimed at kids, with there being a, younger looking girl there on the packaging and sort of like this little owl hat. I don't know if maybe they're trying to kind of target this at kids. So that's maybe why it came with the plastic needle, although it could just be because they're cheaper than metal needles. I don't know. We do have our instructions here with a few diagrams. So it does in fact say to use a size 5 yarn or size 6, which as I mentioned, don't have a ton that isn't chenille. I just really don't want to do chenille for my very first loom knitting project. I think what I'm going to do is just grab some Colorama Halo that I have left over from making cardigans for me and my kiddos. I don't know that that's going to be the best choice just because the yarn itself is really not that thick. It's really the fluff that is making it into a size 5. So that may be a bad choice, but I think it's the choice I'm going to make to start. And I do think I have one other yarn that is a size 5. I was hoping to use that for a different project, but if worst comes to worst, we will use that one. So let me go grab the yarn and we'll go ahead and get started on these instructions here. And it is instructions for making a hat. So I guess that's what we're making today. Okay, so I have my Colorama Halo yarn here. I hope that this is going to work. If it doesn't, I will just grab some other yarn off the shelf. But it does say to knot the yarn to the anchor peg, which I'm assuming is this right here, leaving an 8-inch tail, tighten gently because we will release this knot after a few rounds. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and just kind of loosely tie this on here. I'm not really sure how loosely, but that should work. And then grab the working yarn and put it between the last peg and the first peg. And then it says to wrap the yarn around the first peg in a clockwise direction. So I'm assuming that means like this from the back to the front. It looks like that's what they're doing in the diagram. So I'm going to keep doing this. I think you just do this all the way around. So we're going to do that. Seems pretty simple so far. Okay, so I wrapped it around one time and it looks like we just end up doing that again for a second time. And then that is when we will use this to pull the loops over each other. I think that's the basic concept of this. So it does say to make sure that these loops are at the bottom, which we're just going to do that really quick. And then we're just going to wrap these again. I will say it's pretty simple, but they aren't secured yet. So I did have it start to like unravel a couple of times, but you know, not a huge deal. So we are just going to go ahead and wrap these all again. Okay, all of our pegs have 2 loops on them, and it says starting with the last loop that you just did to take the bottom loop with our little tool here, and how do you grab this? Okay, and then you pull that loop over the one that you just did, leaving 1 loop on the little peg here. And yeah, this might not have been the best yarn to choose for this because it is like a fluffier yarn. It's kind of harder to see, but we're gonna at least try to do 1 round of this. And if I decide that it's too difficult, then I will switch to a different yarn. Okay, so I did go ahead and do the first little looping section, but I can already tell that this is not the right yarn for this size loom. And also with it being a fluffy yarn, it's just not the easiest to work with for it being my first time working with a loom. So I'm making the executive decision to use this yarn right here, which is Lion Brand Hometown USA. I think that's what this is called. But it is a much thicker yarn, as you can see, which I think is just going to be a better size for this loom. I had a different project in mind for this, but that's okay. I can always get more of this. I did find this at my local Walmart, and hopefully this is enough 1 skein for a hat, because that is what I'm supposed to be making here. The instructions do tell you how long to make it. If you're making it for an adult, you do this many inches, which I find that very helpful. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and go get comfy and cozy on my couch with my little lap desk and do it over there. But now that I understand the concept of it, this is very simple, very easy. I have no idea why I didn't do this sooner or why this intimidated me. But essentially, all you're doing is wrapping it around each of the loops, wrapping it around again a second time, and pulling that second loop over the first. It's really simple, and that's pretty much all there is to it until we get to the fastening off process, which we'll get to when we get to. But I think I am going to just go ahead and go get cozy on my couch and make a hat. I don't know. Hopefully this goes well. Okay, you guys, this is how far I've gotten on my loom knitting. And as you can see, this is how it is coming along, which I think this looks quite nice. But let's keep turning and look at that. So most of it looks really good. And then you get to these 2 pegs, which I guess these are like the last 2 pegs. They look really bad and stretched out. And I don't know why. Let me show you from this side. It's very distinct. Like that all looks really good. And then this looks terrible. Why is that? I don't understand. I have no idea what I did wrong, if I did anything wrong. And then my other concern with this so far is that, as you can see, it did snag in a few places. And I think that comes down to the fact, let me see if I can show you. These are made of plastic, and the plastic is just kind of sharp, and that happens all the way throughout, that it's just not cut out all that nicely, and it just wants to snag the yarn a bit, which, you know, this was, again, a $10 loom, so it's not going to be the highest quality ever. And I did also notice that some of these pegs are a little bit loose, and I don't know if the intention is for you to be able to remove them and put them back in. I don't really want to find out if that's the case, but some of them are a little bit loose. And I did notice some of them. So as you can see, there is like an indentation here, which is where your tool goes into. Some of them are, see, like this one is quite loose. Oh my goodness. Yeah, some of them are just like not quite faced the right way. I don't know what's going on. I'm a bit concerned. As much as it pains me, I think I might take this out, and I am going to do some Googling first to find out why it is. Like, my main concern is the fact, like, I can forgive the snags, I can forgive this other stuff, but I can't forgive this. That does not look good at all, and I cannot figure out why. So I'm going to take a break, eat some lunch, and try and figure out what I'm doing wrong. Okay, it is a little while later, and I fear this video is turning into a bit of a disaster. So many thoughts already. So first of all, I thought, there is a website on here. It does say to visit simplicity.com for project inspiration. It says it right there. For project inspiration. For projects and inspiration, excuse me. Tells you go to simplicity.com. I thought that sounded familiar, Simplicity. I was like, where have I heard that? It's a sewing company. And so I go to simplicity.com and it's just sewing patterns. I'm so confused. Why is it just a sewing pattern website? It has nothing to do with loom knitting. I tried searching loom knitting on there. I tried searching boy loom knitting. I didn't find anything. So I don't know why that website is on here. And then the other website says the design group, and that didn't have any information either. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm a big dummy, but I didn't see anything about loom knitting on those websites. So I did just do some Googling, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. And a lot of people were saying that the effect, so I did go ahead and finish this off just to see if finishing it off and cinching it together would help with the problem. It did not. The stitches still look like that. And people were calling that laddering. And they were saying, if you have laddering in your work, here's what you can do. And they were saying to use a thicker yarn, make sure your tension is correct. But I don't think that applies to this, because I'm not just having laddering throughout the whole project, and I'm not just having laddering here or there. It's specifically in two spots where the pegs were. So I don't know if maybe it is. Somebody was also saying like maybe your pegs aren't close enough together, which obviously I can't do anything about the pegs getting closer together. I have no idea. And speaking of the pegs, as I was doing the finishing off technique, which one was it? One of these came completely off. I think it's this one, the first one. So it did come completely off as I was doing that. It can be put back in, but it is a bit loose. It's a little bit wonky. I think what I'm going to do, I know I said I didn't want to use chenille yarn, but I think I'm going to use chenille yarn because the main problems I was having with this yarn is that it was like snagging and splitting on these, rough plastic bits. And with chenille yarn, I don't have to worry about it splitting. It might not look as good, but I think that maybe, with the thing with chenille and why I didn't want to use it is because with chenille, it's harder to see your stitches, but I don't really have to worry about that with the loom because my stitches are pretty easy to see. So we're going to try this. We're going to hope for the best, and maybe now, like starting over, now that I really have the hang of it, maybe those loose stitches won't happen again. But if I can't figure it out with this, then it just might be a fail overall. I know that last time in this series with the punch needling, I completely failed, and you guys all called me out in the comments and told me I was doing it backwards, which I did not realize until afterwards. And so I'm sure that somebody's going to tell me what I'm doing wrong in the comments, and feel free to, because it's actually really helpful for me to learn from my mistakes, and other people can learn in the comments as well. So I don't know. We're just going to hope for the best. I'm going to start completely over with the chenille yarn, and we're just going to cross our fingers. so I did start over with the chenille yarn, and did it help to use a different yarn? No. If anything, I feel like it looks worse on both sides now than the other one. I don't think it's as noticeable exactly where the loose, well, no, just kidding. It is noticeable exactly where those loose stitches are, but there also are just some loose stitches throughout. And I feel like that beginning, like, do you call it a cast on in loom knitting? The cast on row is really loose and bad, as you can see. I don't know what to do, you guys. I'm getting quite frustrated. And as I showed in the clips, these pegs fall off extremely easily. I barely pulled on that at all, and that just comes right off. Some of them are coming off as I'm using them. It's just frustrating. At this point for the rest of the day, I'm definitely going to just set this down and gather my thoughts, try to decide what to do. I think that the concept of loom knitting I like. I can see this being the type of craft where the materials really do make the craft. I feel like if I had a nicer loom, then I might enjoy it a lot better. I don't really know at this point, like as of right now. I don't plan on buying another loom and testing out that theory, but I'm going to go gather my thoughts, decide what to do, but this may just be a complete and total fail at this point. Okay, you guys, it is the next day, and I am happy to say that I have made some progress. It is far from perfect, but it's definitely much better than it was. So since we last spoke, I did go ahead and watch some YouTube tutorials. Now, the first one that I watched gave the exact same instructions as one in this booklet, so that wasn't very helpful. But then I went and watched another one, and the one change that they made, so essentially, you know, what you do is wrap all of them all the way across. Now, the instructions in this booklet had you lifting the last one that you wrapped. The instructions in this second YouTube video that I watched had you lifting the first one that you wrapped first. I don't know if any of that makes any sense. It probably doesn't. And I don't know the technical terms for this. I don't know if it was that or if I just have gotten the hang of this more, but it's not doing the weird laddering thing that it was doing yesterday. All the stitches look really good. Now, there is still some snagging issues. I don't feel like there is any way around the snagging issues. It's just going to happen. So there are a few places where it looks a bit snagged, but I'm happy that it's not doing the weird loose stitches thing that it was doing yesterday. Still not sure why that was, but I seem to have gotten past it, so thank goodness. This is not going to look good on me because it blends in too much with my hair, which was the entire purpose of me buying this yarn. It's because I wanted to make a doll that looks like me, and this was going to be the hair. So I'm probably not going to ever end up wearing this. I'll probably give it to somebody. I don't know. Anyway, I am going to continue on this. By the way, do you like my Has Been Hotel shirt? If you are watching this video with your kids, I know some of you guys watch videos with your kids. Do not watch this show with your kids. It is not a kid-friendly show, but I love this show. So anyway, going to continue on this, and I'll check in with you guys when I check in with you, or maybe I'll just finish this right now. I don't know. We'll see. Well, guys, my loom knitting hat is done. And is it great? No. But do I have something to show for this video? Yes. I was really worried there for a little bit that I wasn't going to have anything to show for all of my hard work here loom knitting. But, you know, it's something. It's here. And it's also way smaller than I expected. I did it according to the package directions, said 9 inches. And I think maybe I needed to make it just a couple inches longer, but you know, it's something, it's done. I messed up a lot, but I'm happy to have something to show for it. So first I am going to talk about this loom in particular, and then I will talk more about my thoughts on loom knitting in general. So when it comes to this boy brand loom, I would say probably skip it. You guys saw how much I struggled with the pegs coming off. I struggled because the pegs, the plastic just wasn't cut out that nicely and it wanted to snag a lot. That was really frustrating. And then the instructions were extremely bare bones. There was really just not much to them. I did figure it out, but I did have to end up going on YouTube and watching tutorials, which is something that I didn't expect to have to do. I thought the instructions would be included. And then the fact that they had a website that you could go to, I was like, oh, great, this is going to give me some more ideas of what to do with this loom. And then you go to the website and it's just a sewing website. So that was really disappointing. I did only pay $10 for this, and so I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but I was hoping for more. As far as loom knitting in general goes, I could see myself revisiting this in the future with a more quality loom for sure. I do like the motions of it. Once you get the hang of it, it's very much a no thoughts, just vibes kind of craft, and I love that. And even though I messed up a lot on this hat, I do think that it has the potential to look really good in the end. If you are an experienced loom knitter, please give me your recommendations on maybe a better loom to go to, because this one was really frustrating. I feel like most of my frustrations were to do with the loom itself and also just the bare bones instructions. So I don't think that loom knitting in general is the problem why I struggled with this craft. I do feel like similarly to finger knitting, loom knitting could be a really good introduction into fiber arts. If you're not already into fiber arts, I could see this being a craft you could do with your kids. I might end up teaching my kids how to do this because it doesn't take quite as much dexterity as crocheting or knitting does. Overall, this was a little bit of a frustrating experience, but I'm glad that I stuck with it. I'm glad I kept going and I ended up at least with something in the end. And again, if you are an experienced loom knitter, please leave all of your tips and tricks in the comments because it'll be really helpful for me and also for other people who are wanting to get into loom knitting but don't really know where to start. And also please let me know if my problems I was having were due to the poor quality loom or if maybe I was doing something wrong. I am always willing to learn from my mistakes. So again, please leave all your tips in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today's video and for sticking with me on this journey. And if you've made it to this part of the video, I want to know, what were you working on as you watched today's video? If you did like today's video, be sure to hit the like button. You can subscribe, stick around, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see next. You can join my Patreon where I make a bonus video as well as an exclusive pattern once a month. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. I want to take this hat off immediately. Ugh.